What do these phrases have in common? Hit the hay. Oh, I'm tired. Up in the air. I'm undecided. Break a leg. I'm wishing you good luck. Stabbed in the back. I thought I could trust you. Piece of cake. This is going to be easy. What do they have in common? They're idiomatic expressions. They're not to be taken literally, or I'd be punching hay, throwing my plans up in the air, telling my loved one to break a leg, getting a knife in my back, and eating a piece of cake. None of which, except eating the piece of cake, would be enjoyable. Hello, I'm Kathy Bartow. Let me give you another phrase. Stand in the gap. In the Bible, when someone stood in the gap, that meant that he interceded with God on behalf of the people, asking that God have mercy on them. Two men stand out as having stood in the gap. They are Moses and Elijah. Let's first talk about how Moses interceded for the people of Israel. God chose Moses to lead the Israelites out of captivity in Egypt. 3 months after leaving Egypt, they reached Mount Sinai and set up a camp in the desert beside the mountain. 3 days later, there was a terrible thunder and lightning storm and a fire on the mountain which caused billowing smoke to form a large cloud. Moses went up the mountain to talk to God. When God finished speaking with Moses on Mount Sinai, he gave Moses the 2 tablets of stone that the finger of God had inscribed with the 10 commandments. Moses was with God for 40 days. Now the Israelites who were waiting for Moses grew impatient and said to Aaron, "Moses has disappeared. We need gods that we can worship now." So Aaron collected all the gold earrings and made a golden calf. Listen to Exodus chapter 32, verses 7 to 14. Then God said to Moses, "Go down, because your people whom you brought up out of Egypt have become corrupt. They have been quick to turn away from what I commanded them and have made themselves an idol cast in the shape of a calf. They have bowed down to it and sacrificed to it, and have said, 'These are your gods, Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt.' I have seen these people," the Lord said to Moses. "They are stiff-necked people. Now leave me alone so that my anger may burn against them and that I may destroy them. Then I will make you into a great nation." But Moses sought the favor of the Lord his God. "Lord," he said, "why should your anger burn against your people, whom you brought out of Egypt with great power and a mighty hand? Why should the Egyptians say, 'It was with evil intent that he brought them out, to kill them in the mountains and to wipe them off the face of the earth'? Turn from your fierce anger, relent, and do not bring disaster on your people. Remember your servants, Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, to whom you swore by your own self. I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky, and I will give your descendants all this land I promised them, and it will be their inheritance forever." Then the Lord relented and did not bring on his people the disaster he had threatened. Now it was said that Elijah was a man who had super speed. He could run the 17 miles from Carmel to Jezreel faster than King Ahab's chariot. Elijah loved God immensely. After 3 years of a really bad drought, God told Elijah to speak with Ahab and tell him that God would be sending rain. Listen to 1 Kings chapter 18, verses 20 to 39. So Ahab called all the Israelites and those prophets to Mount Carmel. Elijah stood before the people. He said, "How long will you try to serve both Baal and the Lord? If the Lord is the true God, follow him. But if Baal is the true God, follow him." But the people said nothing. Elijah said, "I am the only prophet of the Lord here, but there are 450 prophets of Baal. So bring 2 bulls, let the prophets of Baal choose 1 bull, then let them kill it and cut it into pieces. Then let them put the meat on the wood, but they are not to set fire to it. Then I will do the same with the other bull, and I will put it on the wood, but I will not set fire to it." You prophets of Baal, pray to your God, and I will pray to the Lord. The God who answers the prayer will set fire to his wood. He is the true God." All the people agreed that this was a good idea. Then Elijah said to the prophets of Baal, "There are many of you, so you go first. Choose a bull and prepare it. Pray to your God, but don't start the fire." So they took the bull that was given to them and prepared it. They prayed to Baal from morning until noon. They shouted, "Baal, answer us." But there was no sound. No one answered. They danced around the altar they had built. At noon, Elijah began to make fun of them. He said, "Pray louder. If Baal really is a god, maybe he is thinking. Or maybe he is busy or traveling. Maybe he is sleeping, so you will have to wake him." So the prophets prayed louder. They cut themselves with swords and spears until their blood flowed. This was the way they worshipped. The afternoon passed, and the prophets continued to act wildly. They continued until it was time for the evening sacrifice. But no voice was heard. Baal did not answer. No one paid attention. Then Elijah said to all the people, "Now come to me." So they gathered around him. Elijah rebuilt the altar of the Lord because it had been torn down. He took 12 stones. He took one stone for each of the 12 tribes. These 12 tribes were named for the 12 sons of Jacob. Jacob was the man the Lord had called Israel. Elijah used these stones to rebuild the altar in honor of the Lord. Then he dug a small ditch around it. It was big enough to hold about 13 quarts of seeds. Elijah put the wood on the altar. He cut the bull into pieces and laid them on the wood. Then he said, "Fill 4 jars with water. Put the water on the meat and on the wood." Then Elijah said, "Do it again." And they did it again. Then he said, "Do it a 3rd time." And they did it the 3rd time, so that the water ran off the altar and filled the ditch. It was time for the evening sacrifice. So the prophet Elijah went near the altar. He prayed, "Lord, you are the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel. I ask you now to prove that you are the God of Israel, and prove that I am your servant. Show these people that you commanded me to do all these things. Lord, answer my prayer. Show these people that you, Lord, are God. Then the people will know that you are bringing them back to you." Then fire from the Lord came down. It burned the sacrifice, the wood, the stones, and the ground around the altar. It also dried up the water in the ditch. When all the people saw this, they fell down to the ground. They cried, "The Lord is God. The Lord is God." Are you willing to stand in the gap? Till next time, peace be with you.